中国的女光棍会越来越多，为什么呢？因为现在的小仙女们贼爱看短剧。
China will have more and more female bachelors. Why is that? Because nowadays, young fairy girls are crazy about watching short dramas. Men, on the other hand, don't spend money on short dramas. They just unlock one episode after another for free. But capitalists, in order to cater to these young fairy girls, specifically produce and arrange dramas that they love to watch. For example, a billionaire falls in love with me, a leftover woman over 30. A talented rich gentleman falls in love with me, a woman already in menopause. A CEO of a listed company falls in love with me, a woman who has been divorced 8 times, is raising 16 children, and even has a bunch of gynecological diseases. And there are countless other similar storylines. These girls watch them with great excitement and fascination. No matter how poor their own conditions are, no matter how unattractive they are, no matter how extremely poor they may be, their current standards for choosing a partner are now all the same. They only want CEOs of listed companies, talented, rich, and handsome men. In the future, there will be more and more male bachelors too, because these fairy girls will never even consider ordinary men, while rich and handsome men will never seriously look at these fairy girls either. At most, they might play with them for a while, then throw them away like used rags. Poor fairy girls, they will gradually become female bachelors themselves. In the past, emotional mentors were the ones spreading poisonous chicken soup that we fought hard to expose. But now, these toxic short dramas have started spreading even faster, and their poison is 10 times stronger than that of the toxic chicken soup.
互联网有10句最毒的鸡汤，已经猜向了无数的家庭。
In the entire internet world, there are 10 of the most poisonous chicken soup sayings that have already broken apart countless families and made countless innocent children become members of single-parent homes. Let's take a look. Has your partner ever said any of these sentences? The first saying, a man who spends money on you doesn't necessarily love you, but a man who doesn't spend money on you definitely doesn't love you. The second saying, a home is a place for love, not for reasoning. The third saying, poor men shouldn't fall in love or get married. The fourth saying, where a man's money goes, his heart goes too. The fifth saying, your parents didn't give birth to me or raise me, so why should I be responsible for supporting them in their old age? The sixth saying, you're a man, so you should earn money and support the family. I'm only responsible for being beautiful like a flower. The seventh saying, a man who truly loves me should treat me like his daughter or pamper me like a princess. The eighth saying, a woman exists to be loved and cherished, not to serve as your housekeeper. The ninth saying, when I live alone, I don't do any housework. So why should I start doing it after I marry you? Are you marrying a wife or hiring a maid? The 10th saying, a divorced woman is a treasure. Men outside are all chasing after her. These are the 10 most poisonous lines of chicken soup on the internet, and they've destroyed countless marriages, turning what could have been happy families into broken homes.
女生，如果说你想要跟一个男生在一段感情当中获得幸福
Girls, if you want to find happiness in a relationship with a man, if you want to be loved, cherished, and cared for by him, then the very first thing you must do is to quit believing in the toxic chicken soup advice that floods the internet. The first piece of poisonous chicken soup says, a man who truly loves you will tolerate everything about you. This sentence alone can turn a woman into a giant emotional baby. There are influencers online who tell you that a man who truly loves you will cook and do laundry for you. He'll bring you tea and water, understand your emotions, comfort you, coax you, and spoil you. But think about it carefully. This kind of saying goes completely against human nature. If a man grew up never caring enough to help his own parents, never showing empathy toward the people who raised him, how could you possibly expect him to magically understand and pamper you? This kind of thinking poisons women's minds. In this world, no one is born already loving you. No one meets you and instantly decides to dedicate all his time and energy to you. Once you believe this kind of toxic chicken soup, you stop growing as a person. Why do I want to talk about this particular kind of poison? Because I've noticed that many women are deeply brainwashed by it. Once you're brainwashed by this idea, you start believing that in a relationship, if the man doesn't coax you, doesn't pamper you, doesn't always do things exactly as you wish, then you think he doesn't love you. You'll start to cause scenes, act out, delete, and block him. And whenever he doesn't follow your every desire, you'll immediately want to break up because you believe that love must mean constant obedience. But a healthy, long-term, intimate relationship is built on mutual effort, understanding, and acceptance from both sides. You shouldn't measure your partner by comparing him to someone else's. Every man has his own strengths and weaknesses. In a relationship, you should focus on appreciating his strengths, instead of clinging to small flaws and magnifying them endlessly. When you date or get married, you're not looking for a housekeeper, and you're definitely not looking for a worm inside your stomach who can read every thought you have. No one is born understanding you completely, and no one meets you and suddenly becomes a mind reader or caretaker. In love, when you evaluate a man, you should ask, is he motivated and responsible? Because whether it's dating or marriage, the essence of life must eventually return to reality, not stay forever in fantasy and romantic illusions. The second piece of toxic chicken soup for women says, a man who truly loves you will always prepare gifts for you, will always send you money. This idea also turns women into giant babies. If a man gives you gifts or sends you money, it's because there's something about you that he values, something that attracts him, something he wants. This is called value exchange. Of course, beyond attraction, there are other forms of value exchange as well. What do you do for him? What effort or contribution do you make in return? If you want someone to give to you, you first have to lay the groundwork. You must give first before you can receive. Not every woman receives gifts or money right away. You don't know how much work or effort that woman may have put in behind the scenes to deserve those things. A woman who gets a man's investment, whether in time, money, or attention, has likely built up her own inner and outer value, including her personal, emotional, and physical value. So when a man gives, it's because he sees that value. Love itself is, at its core, an exchange of values. When your overall value inside and out is strong enough, others will naturally want to give and invest in you. For example, when you like a man, it's never just out of pure emotion. It's because something about him attracts you, a certain quality or value that draws you in. That's why you're willing to give him your time or effort. Love must always be mutual giving, never one-sided. When I made this video, I realized many women still haven't grown up emotionally. I hope after hearing this, you'll stop watching so many couple vloggers online. You know, those who post about men doing laundry for women, men making breakfast for them every morning, and other similar perfect boyfriend scenes. All of that can distort your perception of love. It makes you think, I'm a woman, so a man should always give in to me. He should take the initiative, coax me, spoil me. It's not that these things are impossible, but ask yourself, what value do you have that makes a man want to do all that for you? This video might sound harsh, but it's not aimed at anyone personally. I just want to say to all women, if you want to grow emotionally in a relationship, if you want to live happier and more fulfilled, then you must pay attention to these points I've mentioned.
你们这些男生太过分了啊！在这种大环境不好的情况下
You guys, these men are really too much. In such a tough social and economic climate, how can you choose to wake up like this? Don't you see? If men collectively awaken, the entire market collapses. We're all players in this capitalist system. If you men decide to quit the game, then what are all those divorced older sisters supposed to do? You still have to go to the dating market. Because if you stop showing up, the market will have only buyers but no sellers. And how can any deals happen then? Soon, the dating market will just turn into a place where elderly uncles and aunts go to watch the show for fun. A 1-to-9 ratio between men and women, isn't that a bit awkward? And what's wrong if a divorced woman with a child asks for a little bride price? After all, she's there to carry on your family line. But what's most infuriating is you not only stop being simp dogs, you even went and took down the chicken soup king himself. Now tell me, how are the fairy girls supposed to survive? That chicken soup was their spiritual food. They were living off that emotional sustenance. You men doing this, it's not good, really not good. You've gone too far already. Come on, go take responsibility. Go get married, have kids, buy houses, buy cars, and stimulate the economy a little bit, will you? Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us.
有一户人家娶回来这样一个儿媳妇啊，体重200斤左右。
There was a family who married a daughter-in-law like this. She weighed about 200 jin. That's around 100 kilograms. The bride price was 288,000 yuan, plus 85 jin of gold, which was converted into 50,000 yuan in cash, and 10 types of gifts. each type in sets of 10 items, for example, 10 bottles of liquor, 10 cartons of cigarettes, and 10 pigs, 10 sheep, and so on. Finally, the parents managed to marry a wife home for their son. But once the daughter-in-law arrived, she demanded that her parents-in-law move out of the house, saying it was inconvenient to live together. The southern parents, being obedient as if receiving an imperial decree, moved out accordingly. The young couple then began living on their own. The daughter-in-law didn't cook, didn't do any housework at all. When she got hungry, she would just order takeout. If her husband didn't cook for her, she'd order takeout again without hesitation. This case came from a wedding in Shangqiu, where someone who attended the wedding later went online to complain. As for whether this couple can live together long-term, no one knows. But I don't really want to discuss whether they'll last or not. What I want to ask are the boy's parents. Let's set aside the question of whether a 200 jin woman can easily give birth or even get pregnant normally. I just want to ask you this. You paid a bride price of 288,000 yuan, plus 50,000 yuan in 3 gold and 5 gold jewelry, plus 10 sets each of cigarettes, alcohol, pigs, and sheep, and then add in all the wedding expenses, the banquet costs, the gifts for relatives and friends. For what exactly did you bring home such a daughter-in-law? Was it only for the sake of continuing the family bloodline? Did you even bother to ask a doctor whether someone of that weight could actually conceive? Did you think that just because your son is married, your mission as parents was complete? In reality, this might be the beginning of your son's suffering and the start of a nightmare for your whole family. Let me give a word of advice to the parents of sons, especially rural parents. We've spent our whole lives working hard, our backs bent to the earth, our faces turned to the sky, toiling under the sun, leaving home to work far away, earning every yuan through blood and sweat. And yet, you hand that money over to a lazy, gluttonous daughter-in-law who does nothing? It's time for parents to change their mindset. It's not that your son must get married. It's that you, the parents, are the anxious ones rushing, worrying, and eventually spending an enormous sum of money to invite home a living ancestor. Even knowing it's a fire pit, and you still jump in with the money jar in your arms, believing you're completing some sacred duty. Honestly, I'm truly in awe. In awe of the ignorance and naivety of so many parents of boys in China. And also of those men who are treated like spinning tops by their parents, rushed into marriage simply because a man must marry. As for those women who demand a bride price of 288,000 yuan, I can somewhat understand them. It's easier to take 200,000 or 300,000 yuan in bride price than to actually earn that much through work. They can just deposit the money in the bank. But when you demand 10 sets of gifts, 10 cartons of cigarettes, 10 pigs, 10 sheep, are you trying to start a livestock farm? Or open a wholesale business for marrying off your daughter? Even instant noodles, they could probably ask for 10 boxes at a time. Isn't this absurd and disgusting? Nowadays, when it comes to marriage, people don't care about dignity or decency anymore. It's just about who can sell themselves at a higher price, right?
重庆来相亲的女生儿，你们晓不晓得男生找对象最看重的是啥子？
To the girls who come to Chongqing for blind dates, do you know what men value most when choosing a partner? To be honest, 80% of men will tell you they go by feeling, but deep down, each one of them has his own calculations. This month alone, I've already missed out on nearly 20 potential dates, but I figured out these 4 key points that most men look for. First, it's appearance. Is the girl pretty? Of course, everyone likes pretty girls. After all, men are visual creatures. Second, it's age. Most men, if they have the choice, will pick younger women. Girls aged 25 to 29 are considered the most desirable. Third, it's personality. Men prefer women who are gentle, kind, and considerate, who don't throw tantrums, who can understand and take care of others. Fourth, it's occupation. They don't expect you to have a super high income, but they do want stability. Other things like education level or height aren't as important. If you happen to meet all 4 of these conditions, then men from Guanyinshao to Jifangbei will be lining up to chase you. And if you can even meet 2 out of 4, honestly, that's already pretty good.
谁跟你结婚不买房不买车不给彩礼啊？你凭什么说为了我？
Who told you that getting married doesn't require buying a house or a car or giving a bride price? And who gave you the right to say, you're doing it all for me? Doesn't that line sound very familiar? Nowadays, many women treat this phrase like a sacred decree. But let me tell you straight, this is twisted logic. Why do so many men hear this and can't argue back? It's because, yes, dating does cost money. And yes, marriage usually requires a house, a car, and a bride price. These are socially accepted norms. But norms are just norms. They don't mean that everything she says is automatically right. Those women who constantly repeat this line are simply ungrateful and calculating. They're not entering a relationship out of love. They're treating you like a cash machine, a long-term meal ticket. It's obvious. They see love as a transaction with a fixed price tag. They believe your kindness and effort are things they deserve by default. And the moment you don't cater to them, they accuse you of not being sincere. I guarantee you, if you ever fall on hard times, lose your job, or stop making money, these women will be the first to run away. Because what they love isn't you, but the material comfort you provide. It's no different from a customer who only cares about the price tag, not the product itself. So, brothers, next time a woman says something like this, just ask her back, why should I be the one to pay for everything? Not because you should be stingy, but because you need to see her attitude. A woman who truly loves you and wants to build a life with you will understand how hard you work to earn money. She'll appreciate your effort, not take it all for granted. Of course, there are still good women out there. And if you don't know where to find one, feel free to contact me. I can introduce you to someone who's genuinely looking for a real, lasting relationship.
上层媚男，底层媚女，在三千市场。
Those at the top flatter men, and those at the bottom flatter women. This saying is perfectly reflected in today's dating market. I once worked with several high-quality men, and they all had one thing in common. They never needed to chase women. It was always the women who took the initiative to approach them, to define the relationship, and once these men gave a small signal, boom, everything naturally fell into place. Now let's talk about lower-level beauties. There was one guy who pursued a girl for more than a month, spent around 7,000 or 8,000 yuan, and still didn't manage to make her his girlfriend. Why? Because he wasn't strong enough. He didn't have the kind of qualities that could truly attract that girl. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Women are not won by chasing. They only choose to be with you when they admire you, respect you, and genuinely like you. If a woman is slow to warm up and needs time to be pursued, it usually means, deep down, she's just not that into you. Believe me on this one. Idio.
重庆现在好多男的找对象啊，张口都要求女生必须要
Right now in Chongqing, many men who are looking for a partner have started setting a very firm condition. They insist that the woman must agree to premarital medical testing, otherwise they simply refuse to continue. One of my male colleagues said, the bride price is negotiable, but a full medical examination is a must, including her sexual history, medical records, disease reports, and psychological evaluations. To be honest, I think what he's really saying is men nowadays want to protect themselves from risk. They don't want to end up in situations that blow up in their faces later. Some even say, if a woman isn't willing to do the premarital test, then even if you gave me props to help the marriage, I still wouldn't want her. So tell me, my friends, do you think these men's requirements are reasonable or not? If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me.
你觉得一个普通女孩嫁给一个帅哥的概率有多大？坦白说，
Do you think an ordinary girl has a high chance of marrying a handsome man? To be honest, that probability is much smaller than you think. The reason lies in the competitive rules of the dating and marriage market. There's an interesting study based on survey data. The top 20% of handsome men attract 78% of women's attention. That means the remaining 80% of average men are all fighting over the attention of the small leftover group of women. Behind this data hides a painful truth. Handsomeness, especially in the marriage and dating market, is itself a valuable hard currency. So here comes the question. What do handsome men want in exchange for their looks? The answer, resources. In an experiment conducted on a Chinese online dating platform, the results showed that men with the highest income received 10 times more attention than those with the lowest income. What does this reveal? It shows that women, in general, place great importance on economic strength. So if a handsome man happens to be poor, he will very likely use his appearance to exchange for survival and growth resources. Now, what about the double ace? Men who are both wealthy and handsome? How do they choose? Research found that in modern relationships, besides love, the second most important factor when considering marriage is having a stable income. Therefore, men who are both rich and handsome aim for women who are beautiful, wealthy, and well-educated, or even women who can elevate their social standing further. They seek powerful alliances 1 + 1 greater than 2. I'm not here to sell anxiety, nor to make emotions sound like a business deal. I just want to tell you, face reality clearly.
我是老大，来，美不美？像不像？老三自己给自己做指甲，自己给自己做，哪个好看？喜欢哪个？
大姐姐，大姐姐，
大姐老了呀。
大姐正是年轻的时候，
大姐老了，
正是最有魅力的时候。
50年36岁，现在一个人未婚，我就是你们眼中的大龄剩女。
I'm 50 years old, 36 this year, and still single. I guess that makes me what society calls a leftover woman. But honestly, I'm quite self-aware. I know that at my age, and if I ever get pregnant, I'll be considered an elderly mother. So I've lowered all my standards. I don't need a car. I don't need a house. I don't want a bride price. I'm even willing to pay the bride price myself. And yet, even after lowering everything, no one is interested. It's really, really hard. Damn, have you noticed lately? A lot of men have suddenly woken up. They've realized that instead of taking out loans to get married and have kids, it's better to just feed themselves and not have to worry about anyone else. Instead of wasting energy on others, they'd rather spend time on themselves. They've also realized that as long as they don't get married, they'll have plenty of time and money to simply enjoy life.
中国大龄剩女最后的金三峡只能是退休老头了。如今城市里大龄剩女真的是越来越多。
The final saviors of China's leftover women might just end up being retired old men. Today, in cities across China, the number of aging single women keeps increasing, while more and more men are entering their age of awakening. By the time these leftover women finally wake up, the only choice left for them may be the old bachelors and retirees. Why do I say that? First, when city men struggle to make a name for themselves and can't afford a house, they often choose to return to their hometowns. Meanwhile, many women are determined to stay in the city. That's why urban areas now have more women and fewer men. Second, even when older single women lower their standards, it's still hard to find a suitable match. Many of them experience a decline in physical health and fertility, and men naturally take that into consideration. Third, the younger generation, those born after 2000, are now flooding into the dating market. Their standards for men are aligning with those of women born in the 1980 seconds and 1990 seconds, making it even tougher for older women. So those women who no longer care about market value, but still insist on staying in the city, the only matches they might find are single elderly men.
为什么现在男人不愿意追女人了呢？你看，你有1000块钱，花200块钱喝点小酒。
Why are men nowadays unwilling to chase women? Think about it. You've got 1,000 yuan. You spend 200 yuan to have a few drinks, another 500 yuan to buy yourself some nice clothes, and with the remaining 300 yuan, you can go get a relaxing foot massage. Now look at your buddy. He's also got 1,000 yuan, but he borrows another 1,000 yuan from you to buy a necklace worth 2,000 yuan for his goddess. And guess what? He hasn't even held her hand. Meanwhile, you're chatting with the massage girl and say, "Hey, your necklace looks great." And she replies, "You idiot, that's the one you bought." So tell me, what is love? A 168 yuan massage technician can serve you for 80 minutes. 300 yuan worth of gasoline can take you 400 kilometers. On holidays, you send her a 520 yuan red envelope, and all she does is post a story on social media, covering your name with a blur. So what is love, really? Someone spends tens of thousands of yuan to marry a wife, but you can spend just a few hundred yuan and already have someone by your side.
俗话说啊，相亲狗都不去。
Oh, go, go, 出发喽！黑咖啡品味有的呢。
There's a saying that goes, even dogs wouldn't bother going on blind dates. Well, here we go. Even the dog is setting off. I just want something relaxed and easy, around 70% effort, that's all. And yes, today I'm attending an event jointly organized by Yue Shunju. Instead of going on countless aimless blind dates, why not join this kind of group event where you can meet many outstanding singles all at once? This time, the event took place at Yunlin Yufu Western Restaurant. The moment you walk in, there's a special MBTI dating corner waiting for you. First, there's a short warm-up game. then a round of self-introductions, and afterward, everyone eats and chats together. The whole event is designed so you don't have to worry about awkwardness. It starts with fun ice-breaking games, and the host is really good at keeping the mood lively. The best part is that all the participants are high-quality men and women, and the atmosphere feels light, natural, and pleasant. I think you kind of look like Lin Lingyu. Really? Eating and chatting with male participants, time flies by quickly. They even have table rotations, so you can see who you share more in common with. I like listening to R&B. R&B? I like it too. I can take you to a bar in Wuxi. There's a live R&B singer performing there. Is it that one called Prosecco? Yeah, that's the one we can go in the evening. Well, it's true blind dates rarely succeed on the first try, but this event was really fun. I'll definitely join again next time. Today, China is facing a striking social reality full of contradictions. According to the latest data from the National Bureau of Statistics, the number of single people in China has now exceeded 240 million, with more than 77 million living alone in major cities. The phenomenon of men awakening and women aging into singleness is no longer just an online joke. It has become a serious reflection of China's shifting social structure. In China's social trends, we've seen one clear truth. Amid skyrocketing housing prices, rising economic pressure, and rapidly changing marriage values, many young people are now choosing personal freedom over family obligations. This not only reveals a deep emotional crisis, but also contributes to China's record low birth rate in 2024, only 6.3 million newborns nationwide. So here's the question. Are China's young people truly becoming enlightened, or are they simply losing faith in love, marriage, and society itself? What do you think? Is this a sign of liberation or decline? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's discuss it further in the next episode of China Social Trends. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and see you again in the next video.